Vaishnavi, we're live, huh? Vaishnavi, could you say something, please? Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of our founder member Ashish Kasodekar and the entire team Simple Steps, I welcome you all to our new initiative, India Aspires. These are the stories of young athletes that will surely inspire you all. Simple Steps has been organizing marathon for kids for last 5 years from the age group of 2 to 15. The present lockdown situation has given us new horizon, which is India Aspires. It is our attempt through India Aspires to bring to limelight young athletes who are doing exceptionally well in their sport, and in doing so we are hoping that their stories will inspire all our listeners and followers. It is after all that through each other we get motivation, we get inspiration, and we get energy. In this series, the first young athlete that we have today is a tennis player who has an amazing story to share with us. Her name is Vaishnavi Adkar. She is currently top ranked player by the All India Tennis Association in India, ITA, under age 16 category, and ranks 11 under 18 years. She has also been ranked India's number 1 under the age of 14 category. Her rating in the International Tennis Federation junior ranking is at 652. Besides this, she has won many awards in her game. So instead of me elaborating on it, let me now call Vaishnavi Adkar to join us on the Facebook Live page of Simple Steps Marathon. Hello Vaishnavi, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
I welcome you, Vaishnavi.
Thank
You are our first athlete today who is joining us in our initiative, India Aspires. And it is my pleasure to have you today on this talk where you will be sharing your dreams and your stories with us.
Thank
So,
you.
at the beginning, could you just tell our viewers about a little about yourself and your most recent achievements?
So basically, I'm a lawn tennis player. So currently, I'm India number 1 in under 16, and in 2018, I was the runner-up in the under 14 nationals. Also, last year I won the under 16 doubles nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I was selected in the under 16 junior Fed Cup team of India. Recently I won the Roland Garros Wildcard Series tournament held at Delhi.
When was this, Vaishnavi? Sorry, when was the Roland Garros?
It was in March.
This year.
Yeah.
All right.
So I will be getting to play in Paris for that.
Okay. Wow. So many awards and achievements at a young age. When did you actually start playing tennis?
I started playing tennis at the age of 6.
Young age, and how did you get into it? Does anybody in the family play tennis?
No, not Not really. So actually, I have a sibling and two cousins. So when we were young, like we were like very naughty and all. We used to do a lot of pranks at home.
Okay.
Basically, our parents thought that we needed some physical activity.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just put into a tennis program at Tech in Gymkhana. So that's how I started playing tennis.
Okay. Just to maybe focus, put your focus and your extra energy into something else, some kind
Yeah.
of physical activity.
Yeah.
Lovely. Um, so, you started playing, you mentioned at the age of 6, which is fairly young age to start playing. Uh, and there are a lot of distractions when, you're at that age and when you're growing up and you're pursuing some sport. How do you really keep your focus, Vaishnavi?
So like my parents and my coaches help me to prioritize my things.
Mm-hmm.
So it really helps me to stay away from the distractions and just focus on the things which are required to achieve my goal.
Mm-hmm.
So since they know what's best for me, it's just good that I listen to them. And like for example, like I'm not allowed to use any social media on my phone. So yeah, it really helps me to stay away from distractions.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do you miss that? I'm sure everybody, all your, uh, your friends and contemporaries must be using social media.
Yeah, but I don't really think about that much because I know what I'm doing and I know what's good for me. So I just work towards my goal because I have some final goals set in my mind and I just work towards it.
Well, you know, this is such a brilliant statement, and the viewers, I'm sure, taking this from you, a young girl like you who is so focused towards her goal and not being distracted. I think social media today is the major distraction that a lot of children your age have, and not to be able to use it and not even missing it. So steadfast at your goal, you're really something. Vaishnavi, I would really like to understand, uh, your kind of routine that you follow or schedule uh, that you have, because playing tennis and excelling in that game and managing studies is not easy, right? So, and I would like to break this question into two parts as to what was your routine and schedule like before the lockdown and what it is now?
Before the lockdown, like I used to have school in the mornings from 7 to 12. Then after that, I used to go on court at around 2 o'clock and then play tennis from 2 to 4:30. And
Okay.
then have my fitness for 1 hour after that. And then I used to have my evening classes, so from 7 to 8. Then after that, having dinner and all, I just used to go to bed. That's it.
So, when you hit the bed, you would be asleep in 10 seconds.
Yeah,
Long day for you, isn't it?
yeah, very exhausting.
Right. So, you mentioned that you would train after school, which is from 2 in the afternoon to about 4, and later you would also do some kind of strength training.
Yeah,
Okay, so the entire training would be for about 3.5, 4 hours daily, right?
yeah.
Okay. Uh, you, what is it now? How has it changed for you now? This was the pre-lockdown. Now that we are all into the lockdown situation and cannot go out, how has it? How has that changed for you?
So now I just usually wake up early in the morning and then do some drills to work towards, improving my strength and conditioning.
Okay.
So then again in the evening we have an online session, like fitness session with the Bounce Academy students.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how we just trying to maintain my fitness during the lockdown.
Exactly. But you obviously cannot play the game.
Yeah.
Yes. So, are you focusing more on building your strength in the lockdown period?
Yeah, like during the lockdown, I'm focusing more on my mental and physical aspect of that since I cannot work on the technical aspect of my
kind of training that you go through, uh, I'm sure it requires special nutrition, right? And a special diet for you to sustain this kind of training. So, do you follow any special diet?
No, not really. I just eat what my mom gives me. Like, she just tries to give me as much as healthy food as possible, and she makes pretty sure that it's tasty,
Okay.
that I won't get bored of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I just don't follow any specific diet.
Okay, so you don't really go for I have to have protein and I have to have carbs and a mix of that, and you don't really do any of that.
No, like my mom knows the best, so I just listen to her.
Lovely, always, isn't it? Mother knows
Yeah,
best, always, and whatever mother feeds is the best kind of food one can have.
yeah.
All right, so uh, you know, this was currently I can see a lot of people posting a lot of pictures of different kind of food that they are making, at home. Uh, have you tried cooking and making some kind of food for yourself and gone into more nutritious value, trying to find out if that food is more nutritious and uh, tried cooking yourself?
I haven't really tried cooking any nutritious food, but I have been baking some brownies, cakes with my elder sister.
Okay,
So, yeah, that's fun. It's pretty fun.
all right,
Don't get much free time during the hectic schedule that we have.
okay.
So, we are just trying to have as much as fun we can during the lockdown.
But you do have classes as well in currently, isn't
Yeah.
it? You are currently in your ninth standard. You pass your ninth standard and you have your
Yeah.
classes for 10. So
Yeah.
does that give you enough time just now to pursue some other activities?
Now, since the classes have started, I get some less time to, try new things.
Okay.
But whenever I get free time, I just do that.
Okay. Vaishnavi, let me come back to your game, your tennis. Uh, uh, you know, you have been playing for a long time. Where do you see the to do parts to it? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And would you be interested in following tennis professionally? Would you be playing as a professional person, or you have some other goal in mind?
Uh, Usually, I don't like to have any early plans, but of course, I do have some, final goals set in my mind. So I just like to focus on the present and then, just work towards the things that I need to achieve those goals.
All right. So you really haven't decided much as to what it would be, whether you would continue playing professionally.
No, like I want to pursue tennis as my career, but
Okay.
I think having a degree in education as well is quite important for me.
That's always a balance, isn't it? For any, I would like to, just inform the listeners that it's always a balance for a young athlete like Vaishnavi, where she's following or she's pursuing some sport, and at the same time she has to balance it out with her studies. Uh, this requires, multitasking, and a young athlete like you doing that is something really amazing. All right. Well, Vaishnavi, now that we are currently, in this uh, lockdown period, and last 2 3 months, the entire world has been going through it. We all have different attitude and different approach towards the current situation, because it is strange times, isn't it, that we all are living in. No one ever expected that we would actually end up being home like this. uh, what is your take on the current lockdown that we all are facing?
It's just that I'm missing my friends and then it's a lot. So I just hope to get back on court as soon as possible.
I'm sure. Uh, but do you? How do you keep in touch with your friends? Then you are allowed to use mobile currently?
Yeah, I am allowed to. We usually call each other in the evening and then talk for some time.
Okay. Uh, Again, since it is lockdown, even we have thought of this new initiative of introducing young athletes like you and sharing their stories. So, what what do you think of this initiative of ours?
I think it's a great initiative since that all the children of my generation, it is very important to be involved in some kind of sport since it helps to inculcate new values and develop a personality. So I think it's a great one.
Wow, it sure is. Uh, and that's the idea with which we started this this venture. Uh, I would like to ask you, Vaishnavi, do you have a role model?
Yes, I do. So from the day I started taking tennis seriously, Djokovic has been my role model since then. I just love his game style, his attitude. I just love everything about him.
Okay. And you follow all his games?
Yeah,
All right.
I just love to watch it play.
Okay. Uh, some time ago, while you were telling me about the lockdown that we are going through and that you are focusing more on building strength and even the mental strength. So, could you just elaborate on that, please? How is it that you work? Do you meditate uh, to keep your focus? Or even before the game starts, how do you really get your focus onto the game? And what is it that goes on in your mind?
Uh, like we do have some yoga sessions once or twice a week, even
Mm-hmm.
during this lockdown. So during that we meditate and all, but usually I don't like to meditate. But yeah, like even my coach, we have some online sessions in the evening to
Mm-hmm.
focus on our mental strength. So we do some exercises and all to develop the mental strength. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. And which you follow even before lockdown, and you're doing it even now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, you know, you have, I'm sure you have traveled quite a bit because of your tournaments. Anything funny that has happened, and you would like to share that with our viewers?
Uh, yes. So I was playing an under 14 Super Series tournament at Panchgani.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a doubles match and I was traveling from Pune. So after reaching there, I realized that I had forgotten my shoes at my home in Pune.
All
Then I
right.
didn't have any shoes to wear during the match.
Okay.
So there was this guy from my academy. So his mom was wearing shoes. So I literally had to wear her shoes during the match. And my mom was really pissed off at me at that time. So it was one memorable one.
You are one very lucky young lady that the
Yeah,
size fit.
I was so relieved at that time, like, whoa.
And how is it when you travel abroad for your tournaments?
um, I like to travel a lot,
Okay.
so it's pretty interesting that you get to explore new places, you get to see some new things. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay. But when you have your matches and on your tournaments and when you're traveling, obviously you're missing out on school, your classes. So, do you get any kind of preferential treatment from your teachers, because of your celebrity status? Okay.
Like, yeah, I do have some good friends at my school, and they are always curious about what happens at my matches and all.
Hmm.
So, they get very excited when I win and a bit disappointed when I lose. But irrespective of the result, they just treat me the same way, which is what I love the most about them. And also, like, all the teachers at my school just support and appreciate what I do.
Hmm.
And but it really helps me to manage my studies well.
Okay, they help you for whatever portion you may have missed out, your friends and your
Yeah,
teachers as well.
yeah,
Yeah, that's such a blessing to have friends who can help you with
yeah.
your studies that you have missed out. All right. Also, I believe your younger sister Asmi. She is a tennis player as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is it? Two of you. Do you play together? Do you train together?
We train in the same academy under the same coach, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't play together since we are not of the same age group. Till now, I don't think we have played in any tournament like in the same age group.
Okay.
But uh, yeah, like we play on the same court, but we have never played against each other till now.
All right. How about playing with her on the same side of the
Uh,
court?
yeah, I have played doubles with her once, but I don't think it turned out that good. We lost the match, but it was uh, very interesting. So it's a good memory.
I'm sure it is. But do you coach her ever? Do you give her some tips here and there as to what is to be done, or maybe that is not a good shot and this is how you should have played?
When we were young, we used to go out on weekends to play
Mm-hmm.
against each other. At that time, I used to tell her what she's supposed to do and all. But now, I don't do that anymore because our coach knows what's best for her as well as me. So I don't think it's my place to do that.
All right. Uh, having said that, I will, of course, I will say this that someday I would uh, love to hear you both being addressed as the Adkar sisters.
Yeah,
Maybe similar to, you know what I'm getting at, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So in the similar way as the Williams sisters, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Serena and
Venus.
Venus. Yeah. So I really hope that sometime in the near future, you both are referred to as the Adkar sisters, and you reach where those sisters, Williams sisters, did.
Yeah.
All right. Um do you have any other interests besides tennis?
Usually when I'm at home, I love baking, and
Okay.
then I also like listening to music and all. Yeah, I also like singing, but not that much.
Singing.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Are you taking any kind of training for singing as well?
No, no, not really.
No, but you enjoy singing. And
Yeah.
oh, lovely. Um would it be possible to maybe sing something for us just now?
No, not really.
No?
No.
Or maybe any of your favorite poem that you would like to recite?
Uh, uh,
Anything that comes to mind?
I can't think of anything right now.
You can't? Alright, never mind. So, in case you do, as we continue with the talk, you can just let me know and we can hear you, alright?
Yeah.
Um, alright, Vaishnavi, there's some questions that are coming in from our viewers, and one of them is if you have any memorable matches that you would like to mention here, and why was it memorable, in what way?
There was this tournament I was playing in Ahmedabad last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was October. So it was under 16 national series. I was playing the finals against a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
So I had lost the first set 6-love and I was down 3-love in the second set.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was really pissed off at time that I wasn't playing well and all. And I just started hitting the ball like anything, and
Mm-hmm.
came back after that. I won that set, I think 6-3. From 3-love down, I won that set 6-3. And then in the third set, I won 6-1. So I was really happy at that time because I'd beaten a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a really memorable
That is
moment.
stuck in your memory. Wow. That must have been how, when you are, like you mentioned, you were initially not doing too well. What is it that goes through your mind? How do you tell yourself that, you have to get back into the game and uh, try and beat the opponent? How, what is it that you tell yourself at that point of time?
My coach always tells me that instead of thinking about the result, you just, go one point at a time and just focus on the present and just focus on the process. So that's just what I do. I just focus on one ball at a time and how I'm going to, achieve that goal.
That's such an interesting life lesson as well, Vaishnavi. Take one day as it comes, take one shot as it comes, take one point as it comes, instead of just thinking too much of the results, just slow and steady and just concentrate on what the present situation is and make the most of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Um, uh, well, any special preparation that you have to do for any of the important matches besides the
Oh,
training and the mental focus that you do? Anything else that?
not really. I just continue with my normal schedule, and if there are any aspects of my game that need to be worked on, my coach, tells me according to that. So we just work on those things.
Okay. This question is again coming back to the mental strength that is required, and you mentioned some time ago about some mental exercises that you do. For our listeners and who probably would want to pursue a sport, a high demand sport like tennis, where you need to have physical as well as mental focus. Could you elaborate a little on the mental strength that or mental focus that you bring on while before a match?
Uh, like my coach, we just discuss about the tactics and all that we should use in the game and when playing that. So uh, yeah, that helps me, to think. Just tells me to be confident and most of all just believe in yourself. So no matter what, whether I'm winning or losing, I'm just confident, in my abilities,
Mm-hmm.
and I just go for it.
Okay. So it's your attitude and your self confidence that also helps you remain in game, right? Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we have um, some couple of more questions coming in. So, um, well, this one, Vaishnavi, we actually have already spoken about. But how should new players focus on the tennis if they want to progress? So, what would you advise the people, the listeners, or the younger uh, listeners who are probably wanting to aspire or who are aspiring to be a tennis player or any other sport? How would you? What would you really tell them? How can they work on their focus?
I think everybody has some final goal set in their mind. Even if you are just new to the sport, you have some goal set in your mind.
Right.
And I think just day in and day out, you should just work towards it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that one goal in your mind, I think it will help you to focus on the things you do every day and just work hard towards it.
Yeah, having a focus and working hard towards it, so important, isn't it? Putting all your energy into it. Uh, okay, the next question is actually coming back to your Roland Garros. So, our listener wants to know if you could elaborate on the qualifier Roland Garros tournament, please. If you could, tell us something more about the particular tournament.
Sorry?
Could you hear me, Vaishnavi? I think that there was a little bit of a problem with the internet. Did you follow the question? Should I repeat that?
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, I wasn't expecting to play this tournament at all because I didn't know I would get in since I wasn't in the top 8 at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I just got a call one day from the ITA office saying that you have been selected for this tournament and are you going to come for the tournament? So I was like, I don't know whether I want to play this tournament or not, but I'll just talk to my dad and then let you know.
Okay.
So my dad had a conversation with my coach and then my coach was like, you should just give it a try. So what's the harm in that? So like, yeah, we went to Delhi and then when the draw was out, I had the player against which I was playing my first round, she was a really good player and she was the runner-up in the previous year of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really under pressure and then I didn't know what to do. So I was like, okay. Like without any expectations, I just went on court and just, just went for it. I just played my own game. It really helped me. So, and then again in the semis, I was playing against a good player.
Mm-hmm.
Like so against that player, I had lost the previous match. So
Oh.
I think, yeah, I was under a lot of pressure. I didn't know what to do. I lost the first set, and then again, I came back in the second set, but in the third set, I was down 5-3,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know what to do. I wanted to win the final so badly at that time. I don't know what happened, but then, I just went for it without any expectations and all. I play better when I have no expectations, so I just went for it. I just played my own game. It added more pressure on the opponent, so it helped me to get back into the game, and eventually I won the match.
Mm.
So, and also in the finals, I called my coach, for some advice, and also that I was playing big finals, and I was playing against a player who I had never beaten in my whole life.
Okay.
So I went on court. So he was like, just play your own game, play freely. You have nothing to lose. You have been playing well so far and all. Like, okay, I went on court and then I started off slowly and then I lost the first set. But then I was really angry at that time for losing the first set, and I was like, I can't just give away this opportunity. So I started playing really well in the second set, and then I came back. In the third set, it was really tough. It was 6-all in the third set, and the tiebreak was also very tough. It was like 1-all, 2-all, 3-all. So from 3-all, I just started motivating myself by shouting and all. So yeah, that added more pressure on the opponent, and it helped me to win the tournament.
Alright, that's your secret. It is out now, Vaishnavi.
Yeah, it's all thanks to Kedar sir.
Alright, I was just about to ask you if you would like to name your coach.
Yeah, he's Kedar Shah, my coach.
Okay.
So
Does he.
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I play at Bounce Academy, so he's the head coach there.
Alright.
It's his academy.
Okay. Does he travel with you on your important matches with you?
No.
But just a call maybe before a match to him.
Yeah, I call him before the match and then after to tell him the result and also
Um, Vaishnavi, uh, it's very important to have support of your family members in all of this. Uh, you mentioned initially that your parents had decided that you are being a naughty child and you have extra energy with you, and that needs to be put to good use, and that's how you started playing tennis. But I'm sure throughout all these years that you have been playing, they have always supported you in different ways. Could you just tell us how maybe your father and your mother or anybody
Like,
else
yeah,
who
mom travels with me every time when I go for matches. So, and yeah, my dad takes me to my classes every day. And also my uncle, who's a doctor, Dr.
Mhm.
Neeraj Adkar, he looks into my physiotherapy and everything. So, whenever I have some injury or something, he's the first person I go to, and then he just looks into it, and then yeah,
So it's all in the family, right? You have a physiotherapist in the family. You have a
yeah,
mother who is cooking nutritious food for you.
yeah.
Lovely. Um, I don't know if we have any more questions coming in from our listeners. So if you could just give me a minute, Vaishnavi, let me just check with my team members in case we have any more questions coming in.
Sure.
You know what, Vaishnavi, yes, this is something that we need to mention. Uh, you know, in our uh, Rohan Bonappa,
Sorry,
Rohan Bonappa,
Rohan Bopanna. Yeah.
Bopanna. So he has actually, he I'm sure is watching us currently, and he has mentioned your movement, about our movement, and focus on becoming super strong. That's his message for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So it was really a pleasure for us to see Rohan Bopanna uh, liking our initiative, and I'm sure he's right now watching you and listening to you.
Yeah. My pleasure too.
Yeah. Um, any more questions coming in? Do we have any more questions coming in? Vaishnavi, you know, we have a lot of young followers and listeners because we organize events for kids. So, is there any message you would like to give them, to the children or even to the parents?
Uh, I think it is necessary for all the things of like all the kids of my generation, or the younger generation, to play at least one sport in their life.
Hmm.
Though you may or may not make a career out of it,
Yes,
but I think it helps to inculcate new values, and it helps to remain, keep you fit.
absolutely.
And sports or whatever it may be, it is necessary to keep working hard irrespective of the ups and downs in their life. So you should just keep working towards your goal.
Wow. It, it's such a wonderful, uh, it's so wonderful to hear you say and give us this message for our listeners. That irrespective of the goal, just keep at it, keep practicing,
Yeah,
and having some kind of physical activity, which is very important, with along with your academics. All right. I was your father in fact shared a picture you receiving a trophy from Mary Pierce. So
Yeah.
could you just tell me what was that experience and what was that trophy for?
That was the same tournament, the Roland Garros Wildcard Series tournament. She had come for the prizes distribution,
Uh-huh.
and after watching her play, like we had a chance to play with her.
Oh
So
wow.
it was, yeah, it was just amazing to play against her on clay court and all, and to receive a trophy from her. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. You would have seen her matches, right?
Like
She did.
I haven't seen her play, but I've heard a lot about her since she was, an
Her,
amazing player at her time.
right. So have you seen any of her recorded matches?
No, not really.
No, okay. But just to receive a trophy from such a renowned tennis player, that itself must have been an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, somebody here is asking, what is it that you most like about yourself?
Okay.
You, maybe as a tennis player, or a singer, or a baker in you? What is it? What is it that you most like, or any other, any other plus point or any other quality of yours that you really like about yourself?
I can't think of anything because.
Perhaps the kind of game that you play, while you play the game, the concentration that you have, or the focus with which you play the game.
If we are talking about my game, then what? Like, I really, I shouldn't be saying this, but I really like my forehand. But
You should be
yeah,
saying it. Of course, you should be saying it if you like it, and that's exactly what we are wanting to hear from you. Come on, go ahead. Yes.
and yeah, I think that's it.
And have you worked hard at mastering it?
Yeah, with the help of my coach and all, yeah, like it's due to him that I have such a technique and all.
Right.
So
So,
all thanks to him.
yeah, so that's something. I definitely would love to come and watch you play now once the lockdown is over, hopefully soon, and I would love
Yeah,
to, and I'll remember this point of yours.
yeah.
All right. Um, well, there's somebody here who's asking if tennis, and what do you consider tennis, is it more of a mind game or more physical?
I think tennis is more of a mind game. I think. I
Okay.
don't know. It's all in your mind. Since if you're determined to, achieve that, you can.
Yes.
Uh, Even if you're physically strong, well built, it doesn't matter if you're, aren't strong in your head.
Doesn't
So,
get you anywhere.
yeah, all that matters is what, you're thinking up here and, yeah,
Yeah, mind over matter, isn't it?
yeah.
Always, yes. You have a strong mind and a good focus, and that can lead you anywhere. All right. The next question that we have. Wow. All right. So this is again to do with your game. So Which court do you prefer to play on, Vaishnavi? The clay, hard,
Like rather
or
than
long? The courts that you like to play on.
oh court.
Court.
I love playing on hard court. I just love playing on hard
Oh,
court.
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And why would you like to play on any hard court?
Basically, my game style suits. It works better on hard court. So, and I can move better on hard court. So I just love playing on that.
All right. Um, okay. The next question is regarding your injuries. Something I would always wish you stay away from. But I'm sure in due course of your play and your training, it, it's possible that sometime an athlete goes through some injury. So how do you really handle that?
I just instead of overdoing my activities and all, I just take some rest and then do some rehab
Okay,
to recover and then get back.
yeah, and you have doctor in house, a physiotherapist in
Yeah.
house. All right. Uh, I think we don't have time for any more questions. Any more questions coming in? No. All right. Uh, so Vaishnavi, I think we are done with the viewers' questions as well, and because we're running out of time now. Um, so I would really thank you, Vaishnavi. It was
My pleasure.
it was my pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed listening to all your stories and your dreams and all how you play your game and how you train even. It was absolutely interesting talking to you. So thank you very much, my dear. I
Thank
wish
you so
you,
much.
I wish you and even your sister Asmi success. I wish you all the best from Simple Steps team um,
Thank you.
in whatever you do in your academics or your game. I wish you a lot of success and I wish you all the best. God bless you always.
Thank you.
So, viewers, uh, we had Vaishnavi Adkar joining us today as the young tennis player. Uh, she has shared so many of her thoughts, her training, how she handles uh, her training as well as her academics. It is not very easy uh, for a person who is pursuing a sport from such a young age to handle the game and as well as the studies, which are equally important. So I think Vaishnavi is doing it. It's a perfect balance she's getting at. Uh, and she has actually proved to us that if you have a goal, if you set a goal in your mind and you work towards it, it's nothing that can really stop you. It's your attitude, your focus, and your mental strength that one needs to have to achieve anything in life. Uh, so on that note, I would like to. All right. Uh, this today has been the first of our session of this initiative, India Aspires. In the coming weeks, we would be coming up with some more young athletes and achievers in their own sport. So please mark your calendar every Wednesday and Saturday, 7 p.m. We should be coming on Simple Step Marathon Facebook page. The next session that is planned is on coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. We shall be having another young athlete who will be sharing his or her story with us. So on behalf of the entire Simple Steps team, I thank you all for joining us today in listening to Vaishnavi Adkar. And this is Swarupa Bhatsavle who is signing off. Stay healthy and be safe. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vaishnavi.